What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Sports Trigger. It's been a little hiatus for us, a lot of traveling, just busy schedules. Travis, we got some weekend picks here, a very, very busy weekend in college football. I'm excited. We have college basketball starting up as well, but let's dive into these picks.
Let's get picking.
Welcome back to the Sports Trigger, everyone. Travis, college football this weekend is just going to be absolutely insane. That's it. You know, we try and up it every week. Last week, Ohio State got dirtied by Iowa, 55-14 or something like that. J.T. Barrett for Heisman. I think he's hanging his shackle up there. Coach Kevin Wilson, he came in and really helped the offense, especially against powerhouse defenses like Iowa. And Ohio State only dropped to 11th. So I just wanted to get that plug in there since we missed our weekend recap this week. Ohio State blows. They're not good. They've been overrated, and now they only dropped to 11th. So I really don't get it. Let's start in here, though. Some great games going forward this week. I'm going to start out with Washington and Stanford. Josh, you love Bryce Love. I love Bryce Love.
Love them.
They got beat last week to Washington State, right? And
yes.
Maybe that's I watched that, and Bryce Love only had 65 yards. He's coming off an injury. Maybe another week's got him a little more balanced, but Washington's been tough. They've been consistent. They just keep winning. That's what Washington does. So it's 6 points right now for Washington. I'm going to go that they're going to blow that a little further than 6. I think they usually cover that.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I love Bryce Love as well, and obviously being hampered by an injury doesn't really help out, especially when you don't have good quarterback play by Stanford. So it's tough, and like you said, Washington's been on a tear. They've been blowing the doors off of people recently, quietly, I might add, mostly because people have ruled out Pac-12 from the playoffs, which, obviously makes sense, but I also like Washington by more than 6. I kind of like them by 2 touchdowns in this game. Not to say that Bryce Love won't have a decent game, but, I can't go against Washington. I've always been against Washington for some odd reason, just because I've never really believed in their head coach and really Browning for that matter, and especially after how they played in last year's playoff. But I can't go against it. They've looked good, albeit against Pac-12 teams, but that's the conference they're in, so they're just doing what's put in front of them and beating the teams that are on their schedule.
Yeah, they can't help it if the Pac-12's down, but the problem is, the Pac-12 is down, so you do have to kind of count that against them.
Right.
Yeah, I got them in that one as well. Moving over to 2 teams I hate, Michigan State at Ohio State. Ohio State coming off a whopping 55-14 loss to Iowa. I'm just going to keep repeating that as much as I can. And Michigan State beating Penn State, and yet Ohio State's favored by 15 at home. What are your thoughts on that spread right there?
I think that's pretty crazy. Especially, it'd be one thing if Ohio State was coming off a win against Iowa, and obviously they're at home, so they're going to be favored. But the fact 15.5, Michigan State just beat Penn State, albeit I think it was not a fluke, but man, that rainstorm, Penn State seemed like they were clicking, and then, you come out. I remember you text me saying, Michigan State does really well coming out of like high weather situations to where there's long delays, and credit to you for somehow knowing that.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
Earlier in the year, torrential downpour, same scenario. I was like, oh gosh, like can you? Obviously Penn State's offense is a different animal than Michigan's. So I'm not even going to attempt to say that that's the same standing, but how do you get so lucky to where it kind of grounds an offense in both instances? And to Michigan State's credit, they ended up putting up a decent amount of points, and then they ended up winning the game, obviously. So, yeah, I think the spread is pretty crazy. I mean, part of me says, okay, Ohio State's coming back. They just got embarrassed. Gave up the most points that an Urban Meyer team has given up, actually, I believe. And so they're going to come back home and they're just going to lay it on them. I just don't see that. If you look at, so I mean, I'm looking back the last few years, back to even 2014. 2014, Ohio State beat Michigan State by 12 that year. Last year, Ohio State won by a field goal, and the year before that, Michigan State won by a field goal. And,
close games.
Yeah, it's been commonplace. And Michigan State was terrible last year. And, so I just don't really, I don't see Michigan State getting blown out in this game. So I think that's a pretty interesting line, that I've seen up there. So what are some games that you're excited about this week? Because there's obviously plenty more. Right. So throw a few out there.
So one, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up because it's a Big Ten game, but Iowa at Wisconsin. Obviously, as we already went over, Iowa just embarrassed Ohio State. Wisconsin coming off a win against IU, one could argue one of their best wins of the year, or at least their most impressive performances. And, the line's 12.5. I definitely like Iowa for the line, and I actually like Iowa straight up in this one. It's a Big Ten, it's a classic Big Ten matchup to me, to where solid defenses against the run. You have two quarterbacks. I don't know as much about Iowa's quarterback, except obviously he had a great game last week. And then you have Wisconsin's, who's very inconsistent in Hornibrook, throws a lot of interceptions. I know this is at Wisconsin, but I love the line. I'd take the line any day of the week, but I like Iowa in this as well, mainly because I just want Wisconsin finally out of the playoff picture.
Yeah, what's funny, once again, just looking back at the past, 3 or so games, they've been pretty low-scoring games, and the highest scoring game out of the last 3 between these two was Wisconsin won 26-24 over Iowa. And so, Iowa obviously plays Wisconsin pretty well, and you know what? I don't think Wisconsin's going to cover, but I think they're going to win. Iowa's coming off a game where they just poured a lot of emotion into it at home. Now they're on the road. I think they'll be able to keep it close. It could be a 6-point game, 6 to 7 point game, something like that. So Wisconsin won't cover, but I like Wisconsin still to win here. They've been kind of gliding by lately, and actually, yeah, like you said, the Indiana one might have been one of their most impressive in terms of, point differential and everything. So, that'll be an interesting one. So I gotta throw this one out there then I'll let you get back to throwing a few games. Georgia Auburn.
Right.
I'm going Auburn here. It's at home.
Surprise.
Yeah, it's at home. If they win this, Travis, if they win this game, their march to the national title can continue. So this is like this is literally the last hope. Effort and last ditch hope for Auburn to help me out in my prediction before the year and march towards that college football playoff. It's at home. They've been playing amazing. Georgia's been playing amazing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, Georgia's been very impressive, and that's why they've been the number 1 ranked team in the college football playoff rankings released the first 2 weeks. But Auburn's going to get them. Auburn's defense is top-notch. A lot of people are forgetting Auburn's defense is one of the best defenses in the nation. And now their offense is playing well. The only thing that scares me a little bit is not having Petway playing. So I don't think he's going to be playing because of the shoulder separation. And I think that hurts because, Johnson, he's a little more elusive, big play, and then Petway's kind of the change of pace. So I'm going to go Auburn here. I'll take them straight up just because, I got to stick to my guns here. It's the last chance. So,
now, do you think that's going to be a low-scoring game, or how do you kind of see that one shaping out?
It's going to be in the 20s. So I could see it being like a 27-23 game. 27-20, 27-21. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. Both defenses are good. Both offenses are playing really well, but I think this might be a game where they both both teams are going to really try and establish the run. That's huge for both of those teams. And I think this might be his first game where he actually kind of struggles. And so with that, I think that's going to keep it lower scoring, not necessarily low scoring. So yeah, I see in the 20s. What about you?
I definitely have to go with Georgia here. And I know Auburn's tough. It's at Auburn. There's no doubt it's going to be, a very brutal matchup for both teams. And this will obviously be the biggest test for Fromm thus far. So the one reason I am going with Georgia, or one of the reasons, is because
jumped on the bandwagon. That's all you've been doing.
It's because Georgia actually let Fromm throw it last week against South Carolina, albeit not the same caliber defense as Auburn. 24. But they let him get his feet wet a little bit more. And the fact that he did so well. I am going with Georgia here.
What were his stats? They only won 24-10, so they couldn't have been that impressive.
Yeah, you know what? And I was actually surprised the fact that they only put up 24 points. I was fully expecting to drop at least 30 plus. But okay, so Jake Fromm's stats: 16 of 22, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, so
that's what he's.
So I think that's
pretty
impressive. Good. That's like an Alex Smith.
That's like a McElroy when he was at Bama. So. Like a McElroy or
that's true.
Who was it? Parsons or whatever. Who was their first quarterback before McElroy? Parker Wilson. Yeah, didn't have to do anything amazing, especially like their first year running the offense, but very efficient. Okay, I was more impressed with Fromm when they beat Mississippi State because he completed his first 10 passes or something like that. So I thought that was
right. But no, I'm going with Georgia there. That's definitely one of the biggest games this weekend. But the other one that has my eye is I'm gonna have to go with it. I don't like picking my own games, but the Notre Dame Miami game.
Are you sure you want to continue right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and continue. I'm very confident at this point in the season. I've held off on talking them up too much at this point, and it's at Miami, big game, huge implications, a lot of talk going out.
Adams gonna play.
Adams is healthy. Wimbush is healthy. Both are a go. And I don't know of any other injuries. I believe our tight end Alzai Mack is a go as well. The turnover chain, very annoying, Miami. I can't wait to see you not have that. I can't wait to see it sit on the bench. I can't wait to see Miami fans crying after the game in disappointment. I can't wait to see Notre Dame pound them.
Right?
I'm not saying.
Do you have one of those shirts yet? How often have you watched that 30 for 30? Because in my mind, for me to get prepped up for this weekend, and it is one of the best 30 for 30s outside of just the U probably, because that one's pretty cool as well.
Right.
How many times are you going to watch that 30 for 30 on Catholics vs. Convicts?
I'll just have it on repeat, starting off when I wake up in the morning up until game time, which is until 8. So I'm gonna have it verse. I'm gonna be able to repeat everything as the time goes on. But it's gonna be a great game. I give credit to Miami's defense. They do have a very good defense. Their offense, though, I don't know what to compare it to, but I'm not impressed whatsoever. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, kind of like when Notre Dame played NC State for a while, and then I think Notre Dame will eventually. I don't think they'll win by 21 plus, but I think between 10 and 14. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I kind of see this. Yeah, Notre Dame's defense is probably going to be the best that Miami's faced so far this year. If they played Clemson or something like that, that could, be a challenge there. But, I have Notre Dame by 3. I don't think they're going to cover. I think it's, Miami hasn't really impressed me, but they keep winning. And so they create turnovers. If they create turnovers against Notre Dame, then I think they'll at least be able to keep it close. I do think Notre Dame's the better team right now. Maybe next year Miami's better. I've been saying it for a while that I thought Miami was a year away. So, with that being said, guys, thanks a lot for joining us on another episode of the Sports Trigger, and until next time.